Hey, so it's been a while since I hit go live in OBS, so give me a second here while we make sure that everything's working. Yeah, that looks good. This also looks good. Okay. Yeah, I think we're all set. Excellent. All right, welcome. Like I said, it's been a little while since the last time that I streamed a live build, but here's what's on tap for today. It is the Oberon. Let me find a better color picture for you. I actually just tore apart the box, or flattened it out, I guess. So this is the winged mecha that we're building here. It is pretty heavily inspired by the Wing Gundam, but it's a third-party kit. So we will, let me grab the parts and we'll get started with it. And we're doing the head first. Just actually, as we get started here, quick kind of overview on these parts, because I have done a little bit of work on them. These aren't just as they come out of the box. The original plan, just to be clear, was for me to just cut these parts out, have them ready to go and do kind of a basic snap build. But what happened was, as I started looking at the parts as I was cutting them out, I really started to think that this thing is going to turn out to look really nice and be kind of a good display piece. And I knew that there's a good chance that I'm not going to disassemble this and paint it down the road. If I just did a snap build on stream, that's probably how it would end up being forever. And so what I did is I went ahead and these are all the original colors. I didn't repaint any of these parts, but I'll give you some close-ups here of some of them. I did some panel lining and I did some top coat. I added my favorite matte top coat on all of these parts. And then on a few of them, we've got water slide decals already pre-applied as well. So it actually took me a bit of time to get these things ready to go for the stream. I cut them all out, organized them here in these bins by section of the build, and then I top coated them with gloss, did the panel lining and the water slide decals, and then for all but the gold ones, I then gave them a final top coat with matte top coat. The gold ones, this was a pre-applied gold coating from the factory, so it came on the runners like this. It's nice and shiny, but I did top coat these in gloss to give it a little bit more shine. So the inner frame is mostly what the gold pieces are, and I think that's going to turn out looking really nice in gold. So let me grab, looks like the instructions want us to build the head first, so I'm going to grab these parts for the head and we'll get started. The other kind of weird thing that I noticed as I was cutting the parts out and preparing them is that there are some parts that are this kind of light purple color, and all of these light purple parts are actually duplicated. There's an equivalent part in gold for every single one of them. So we have a choice, and the instructions are in Chinese, but I translated them, and they say everywhere that you use one of these purple parts, they say you can use a gold one instead. So for whatever reason, they gave us a color scheme choice there, and I gotta be honest, when I first was looking at these parts, I didn't like the purple, but it's grown on me. So I think it is likely, and we'll see when we get to these parts of the build, I think it's likely that I'm gonna choose the purple and not the gold. But we'll see how it goes as we go along. I'm gonna put the instructions here on my desk. I realize that they're not, the full page is not always gonna be on camera. I think that's probably fine. So if you see the edge of instructions and you're wondering why you don't see the step I'm working on, it's just because I've chosen to put them there, but I don't think that it's super important that they stay on camera all the time. Now, I have not test fit any of these pieces, and so I'm not sure what the fit's going to be like, whether it's going to be tough to put these together now that there are a couple of layers of top coat. I'm not sure what the tolerances were before, so we'll find that out as we go along. But I'll just give you a wider angle view for now, and we'll start putting this head together. So far, early verdict, I think that the fit of these parts is really good. I'm always a little cautious, like I'm never sure with these third-party, like, you know, Bandai's kits are always great as far as kind of the fit and the accuracy of the mold of all the parts. Third-party kits, I'm usually a little skeptical, but this seems good so far. And as I say that, it feels like this piece didn't want to slide all the way in there. Just needed a little extra force. And that was another reason when I started thinking about this kit, I wasn't sure that I would ever disassemble it if I were to just snap build it and then decide later that it needed, you know, some top coat or some paint or whatever. I was not sure how easy it's going to be to take this thing apart. So there was our first choice between the light purple part or a gold part. And I just sort of instinctively picked up the light purple. I think that, as I said earlier, is what I want to go with whenever given the choice. I reserve the right to change that decision at any point during the build though. We'll see how it turns out. just paused there to make sure I have the correct side here for each of these parts. That's kind of the one drawback, right, to preparing parts ahead of time, is that you run the risk of confusing the ones that are like mirror images of each other but ever so slightly different, so they'd be wrong if you put them on the wrong side, right? You don't want to confuse those and assemble the thing incorrectly. I do believe that this is correct, but this is a very tight fit. Probably because paint got on that one peg there. So I do have, off camera, just on the side of my table here, I have my hobby knife, and I realized that at some points in this build I might have to do a little bit of trimming on some of the parts to make a fit work because of the paint work that I did. And I think this is the first case of that happening. So, being very careful to not damage these parts. I'm going to disassemble this ever so carefully, and then we'll trim this piece just a bit to make it fit better. So hey John, thanks for tuning in. The plastic quality is, I think, very good for a third-party kit especially. Here, we'll put your question there on screen. Yeah, I'm always a little cautious, unsure of what it's going to be like, right, with a kit that's not made by Bandai, since that's what I'm used to. But yeah, this is very good quality plastic. That was another reason I decided to go ahead and do some top coat and panel line treatment to it, because it did seem like it was going to be a good quality kit as I was, you know, cutting the parts out the first time. So I'm struggling with this particular piece right now as I talk about how good quality the kit is, but I think that that's, like I said, just because of the layers of top coat that I added, and specifically this peg right here, which is not wanting to fit just right into this hole right here. So what I'm going to do is just enlarge this hole a tiny bit. I'm going to do it on both of these parts, like the one mirrored one on the other side as well. And again, I'm sure that this is because of layers of top coat that I added and not an issue with the kit. All right, that's the wrong side. This is the correct side. Yep, and that's gonna work better. I can tell already. So I think we're good now. Yeah, that fit was much better now. And actually, I think this is a good example of the three shades. So this outer bit here is white. There's a lighter gray color and then a slightly darker light gray. So there's white, light gray, and kind of this tone in between. And that persists through the whole kit. All right, so these two things are the sides of the face, right? Probably, yeah. And they go on here. My first impression as I was building the kind of the interior, the inner frame bit there for the head, was that it seemed very long from front to back. Now with the armor on it, it looks proportioned just fine to me. It's not like too elongated this way. Nice detail on there. And this V-fin, this is a part that it really got my attention as I was cutting these out and starting to look. It's got some nice curvature to it. It's not like perfectly straight or angled just about in any direction. So it has this kind of nice, interesting shape to it, which is, I think, pretty cool. All right, so there's our head. The eyes down in there, like, let's see if I can get the light to catch them. They are a transparent blue part. I probably could have or should have painted some silver on the back side of that transparent blue, just to give them a little bit more shine. The little jewel up here in the forehead is fine. I assume that's meant to be like a camera or whatever, but the eyes themselves are a bit dark down there in the head, but it's all right. All right, so there's our head, and this would have been the alternate part that goes on the crown here, that could have been gold instead of the light purple. But yeah, as I said, I'm leaning toward the light purple, and now seeing it here kind of in context with the white and the gray, the light gray. Yeah, I think that's the right choice, at least for the aesthetic that I'm looking for here. So that's cool. All right, next up is the torso, the chest, which is this pile of parts here, I think. I'm gonna set the extra gold pieces kind of just off to the side, and we'll collect them as we go along. And I will save them just in case I ever decide that I want to change my mind about the color scheme. There's a couple of really tiny little, I assume they're like Gatling gun things that are gonna go on the shoulder. I'm gonna actually set those here off to the side in a spot that I know I won't lose them. All right, so I'm not gonna sort these and lay them out nicely. I'm just gonna kind of leave them here in a pile and spread them out enough that I can see, hopefully, what's what, and be able to pick out parts as we go fairly quickly. Yeah, the light purple, so I read online, right, that the reason, some people are saying the reason that the manufacturer ended up duplicating the purple runners, the light purple in gold, was because that some people had seen early photos of the build when they first announced it online and were complaining that they thought the purple looked bad. And so the rumor, at least that I read, is that the company that made this then went and printed those. It was like just two runners that were the light purple in gold, as in the plated gold as well, to give you an option. But I think it would be too much gold, especially when you see where else it goes on the rest of the kit. All of these details being gold, I think would be too much gold, and the gold being mostly on the inner frame, I think is a better way to handle that. So, yeah. I think I'm happy going with the light purple. Oh, I was going to show you as well. Some of these gold interframe parts have really, really amazing molded detail on them as well. I'm sure that most of it's going to get covered up, but I went ahead and panel lined to pull out details in a lot of these parts, just because I was impressed with how nice the mold work was on the kit. So, all right, I think we'll leave it at that middle zoom level, and I'll work on building the chest. I tried pretty hard when painting these things, or not painting, but you know, top coating them, to not get paint on like this peg, for example, and the hole in this part here, because I wasn't sure how tight the fit was going to be, and I didn't want to add a lot of extra, you know, tightness to the joints. So I'm just going to kind of experiment as I start to assemble here and decide whether I think that I might need to do some little bit of sanding or shaving of these parts. I think we'll be okay, at least with that one, although the fit is very tight. So just something to be aware of. If you're painting this kit, yeah, be careful of the tight fits of parts. Do I paint these models afterwards? No, normally what I do is I will snap build a kit, assemble. If I'm doing like a full custom, I'll snap build it first, and then I will, after I've snap built it, I'll kind of take a look at the whole thing and decide, you know, what changes I might want to make or what I want to do. Then I disassemble it, and then I paint it individual parts disassembled. And then I reassemble it, and then usually I top coat it in whole sections, like a whole arm or leg or whatever, at the same time. In this case, because I didn't paint this is all the original plastic, colors of plastic, I only top coated it. So in this case, I just top coated the individual parts. Did I have to rescribe any panel lines? No, I didn't. And in fact, I was impressed. I'm gonna see if I can find an example for you here. I don't know that I see any on these parts. I know for sure the legs had some examples of this, but there are some places where I would normally scribe an extra line, like around the edge of a raised area, maybe like here or something. And the amazing thing about this kit is it seems like they did that for you. In fact, I forgot to panel line that little bit. I did the gold version, but not the purple version. Anyway, you can tell that I think this kit was designed by people that build or design resin kits, because they actually put very small panel lines around some of those raised areas as well, which was really, really nice. And like I said, something that I probably would have done by hand if I felt like I was, you know, fully customizing the kit. Yeah, somebody mentioned my Exia desk mat. It is, there's the full version of it. A couple of people have asked me about it. I bought it from somebody on Etsy like years ago, right? And I don't think it's available anymore. A couple of people have asked me like, where can I get that? And I've looked for it and I can't find it anymore. So I think it's unfortunately not available any longer. Do I do 3D resin models? Yeah, I build resin conversion kits occasionally, you know, to add extra detail to the plastic kits. All right, I gotta say, I am actually having a bit of trouble with this. You know, I put this piece on here, and as it was fitting on there, it felt a bit tight. Again, probably my fault due to the paint, the layers of top coat, even though I was careful about trying not to get it on there. And so now it's not wanting to press on this last little bit. And so give me a second here while I work on it. There, with a small kind of spin, I was able to get that to press in the rest of the way. It is very tight. It's meant to rotate, obviously, on this peg. And it's an extremely tight fit, but I think once we get the other parts on around it, it'll it'll give us enough leverage to be able to move stuff around. So I'm gonna press on, and hopefully this main pivot joint here, which is probably gonna be kind of the midpoint of the torso, it's able, you know, that makes it able to rotate back and forth. Hopefully that won't be too tight. But that is officially now my warning that as we go forward with this, I need to be careful as I press these things in to make sure that they are not too tight and that they don't need any kind of trimming. Yeah, back on the subject of resin kits, I have a friend who had mentioned the last time I talked with him that he might want me to build a resin commission for him sometime this year. So that is something that I'm thinking about doing, and if I do, it would give me a chance to record some videos specifically for YouTube that would be like a tutorial on how to work with resin. And so if that's something you guys are interested in, let me know, because that might sway my decision a bit as far as whether to do that project or not. All right, I made a mistake. When cutting these parts out, as I was putting this together, realized I missed trimming this nub back here. So the cool thing about pretty much all of these gold parts is that they were undergated, right? So the nub marks that are left behind, which are unsightly because you have to cut off the gold coated paint to get them trimmed. They're all in invisible places you can't see once the kit is built. All right, so now with that together, I can probably rotate this back so that it's a little more straight. Yeah, cool. All right, so yeah, some people are interested in resin. Cool. Yeah, I don't have the box handy with the pictures right at the moment, but it is the one in question is a conversion kit for the Force Impulse Gundam from Seed. And yeah, I think it'll look really nice. So I've been looking forward to building it. I just haven't had the sort of excuse to set aside the time to do it yet. But maybe this year. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Resin, you definitely have to paint. This kit though, if you're looking for something to just put together, seems good so far. I can't like have an official verdict on it yet because we are, you know, like, I don't know, 20 parts into the build. So far, I'm mostly impressed with it though. All right, we got this little piston detail, which I assume is going to be on the neck This is going to go up here somewhere, right? Let's see, I need these two. All right, two things. First of all, I am now very glad for my decision to not assume that I was ever going to disassemble this kit for painting or any sort of detailing later on, because the fit is quite tight with pretty much all of these parts. And so I am excited to not have to ever try to take these back apart again. And then secondly, note for myself, I'm going to have to remember as we continue here with the build that I want to make sure I don't make any mistakes. Like I don't want to leave a part out and have to disassemble to, you know, put in something that I missed or whatever, because that seems like it would be fairly difficult to do, given again how tight these things are fitting together. Yeah, that's why you asked if I paint afterwards. So, yeah, if you paint, you're definitely adding some work for yourself, right? To make sure that you get the fit figured out, that you don't overpaint or anything like that. Speaking of which, I've just made a mistake. So now is probably a good time for me to remind us all that I haven't built a kit on stream for a while, maybe 6 months. I don't remember for sure. It's been a while. And I'm definitely rusty. I'm honestly having issues with like concentrating on what I'm doing while also paying attention to chat and camera angles and whatever. So please bear with me while I fix this mistake, and then we will move on. Murphy's Law, yeah, I mean, sure. It's really just me not paying attention, right? I'll give you this close-up view of what I'm doing here while I break everything. I think it'll be fine. I'm also, I have these hand wipes nearby because my fingers tend to get kind of greasy and I want to make sure that I don't mess up the finish on these top coated parts while I'm working with them. All right, so what we're gonna do, what I did was I meant to put, like this thing needs to turn 180 degrees. There's a hole underneath this piece that should have gone onto that peg. So I put this on backwards. So I need now to find enough leverage to be able to pry this up so that we can then turn it around, while also not scratching the finish. So here we go. Was the last kit I did on stream the clear Gundam Age Titus? I believe so. When was that? Was that like last spring, early summer? Something like that? It's been a while. All right, slowly but surely, this thing is working its way clear. It's really hurting my fingers, by the way, as well, getting these parts apart. What we're really doing here is we're testing the how fragile or not fragile the plastic is, right? We're testing to make sure that it's tough enough to withstand this metal pry tool as I very slowly separate these two parts. And it's not like this plastic piece here is not really bending or in danger of breaking, at least not yet. As I say that, it'll probably break. Ready? Here we go. It's gonna break. No, it's not. Yep, there it goes. Is it true that a lot of airbrush paint is just thinner mixed with acrylic paint? So you can airbrush acrylic paints. You can also airbrush lacquer paints, which is what I do. If you do that, definitely wear some sort of breathing protection. And you can also airbrush enamel paints. In all cases, most paints that you buy are too thick to be airbrushed nicely just straight out of the bottle. And so for most of them, you do want to use whatever the appropriate type of thinner is, right? So enamel thinner for enamel paints, lacquer thinner for lacquer paints, acrylic thinner for acrylic paints. And thin it. They say, like, the guideline that I've seen is to the consistency of milk, which is like a really subjective thing, right? But it sort of makes sense and works. I'm gonna be smart this time and just kind of enlarge this hole just a tiny bit before we go ahead and put it in there. So yes, most of the time when you're airbrushing any kind of paint, you thin it. All right, that seems much better. Back on schedule. Let's go. Yeah, and we're gonna do the same thing here. So I'm just gonna slightly enlarge. It seems like most of these types of connections in this kit that are like pegs and holes seem like that they're gonna want to be enlarged just a touch as we assemble here. All right, there we go. Same thing with this part. Downside here is that I'm going to end up with a bunch of these tiny plastic shavings all over my table. All right, so here's our two shoulder joints. I'm gonna try to clean off some of these plastic shavings. And now I believe we can put these and the neck joint in place. This way. This shoulder is a bit like pivoted up out of alignment, but right now we're putting a lot of force back here on the joint until we have a piece in the front here. So I'm gonna wait until we get this in place, and then I'm gonna try to straighten all that out. Right, because this should snap on here and nicely hold all this together. Yeah, so I'm not concerned at all about this thing once I've got it in a final pose. I'm not concerned about joints drooping or sagging or whatever. It is, if anything, still extremely tight. Interesting, okay. So I think this is basically the inner frame of the torso. And you can see there's a few spots like these two round spots right here. And then like the ends of these joints that are gonna go into the arms, where those were where the parts came off of the runners. And I didn't try to touch those up with gold paint or anything. So you can see the kind of light grayish plastic that was underneath the gold paint plating that they put on from the factory. But I'm hoping that that none of that really shows up once you get all the outer armor on the kit. And so it won't be a big issue that I decided not to try to clean it up. At least that's the idea. We'll see. All right, so these pistons for the sides of the torso go into a little hole up here, and then the other end slots in right there. Maybe it's easier to actually put this end in first and then pop this ball joint into this hole. The ends or this little round bit right here on this casing for the piston is a place where there was a nub mark left behind when I cut it off the runner. And so there are a few places where I found some matching gold paint, just like cheap enamel paint that I had sitting around that was a gold color that almost matches, and I did touch those up just a little bit before I top coated the parts, because there were a few spots where I thought that there was a good chance that the paint or the nub marks were going to show, and that was one of those spots. All right. So here's that inner frame, we're about to cover it up. At least parts of it. It'll be interesting to see how much of it is still visible. This piece fits on at a really strange, awkward angle. And I don't want to break anything, so I'm being a bit careful as I press it in place, but it obviously requires some amount of force. There we go. Once I got it lined up correctly, it wasn't too much of a problem there. I think this is an even darker shade of gray than what we saw on the head, so there might be 3 different shades of gray in addition to the white parts. Oh, and I didn't mention it earlier because we hadn't seen any of these parts yet, but these darkest gray parts, they were just a plain dark gray. I actually did a little bit of dry brushing with some silver paint before I top coated these. So you can see they kind of have a little bit of shine on the edges and such. I did that on purpose to try to sort of bridge the gap between the very shiny gold inner frame and the matte coated, you know, all the other parts. So the idea was to have this kind of in between silverish shine on the dark gray, which seemed like kind of an alternate inner frame color almost based on how I saw the parts going together in the instructions. Well, I was looking all around for this C8 part. You can't see the instructions here that was being called for, and I couldn't figure out where it was. It was this transparent blue. I had forgotten which parts are which color. All right, it definitely would have been easier to put that dark gray part on first and then the clear blue. But they both fit, so that's good. All right, here's another example of where we get to choose between this gold part or this light purple part for, it looks like this bit that's gonna go right here on kind of the front of the lower torso. Again, I'm going to choose the light purple because I think we have enough gold from the inner frame. So I'll set this other one aside. Yeah, I think that's going to look good like that. Interesting. Now we could put these two little bits on the sides here. We could make these gold. They again could be purple or gold. Since they go right next to another light purple part, I'm sort of tempted to change it up and use gold for these. I'm gonna just kind of partly insert this and kind of see whether I like the look of it or not. Yeah, you know what? I think that's going to be good. I'm going to do it. I'm going to mix and match in this case. So we have this little gold detail here instead of the light purple. These tabs here are a very tight fit, but I'm a little bit reluctant to widen this gap out much at all because I don't want those parts to fall out. So I'm gonna just very carefully take a tiny bit off there. Oh, come on. Part of the problem is there's just no leverage to get your fingers in the right spots to press down on that part. All right. I'm gonna widen this just a tiny bit more. Yep, that's gonna be fine. All right, there we go. There is a tiny bit of the plastic that I shaved off. They got stuck down here. So I'm gonna try to clean that up without scratching anything. All right, there it goes. All right, next up is this kind of collar part that goes around the neck, which again, we have a choice. I'm gonna choose the light purple. But apparently order matters here, and we gotta put this piece on first. Another choice between gold and the light purple, and this is going to go, where's this going to go? Up here on the front of the chest. And then it's got this little detail part here that can either be that or that. And it also has this thing, this light gray around it. So do I like the gold with the light gray, or do I like the purple with the light gray? I'm gonna choose the purple in this case. We've got another very tight fit here. I don't know if you heard that like snap into place as I pressed it down, but yeah, that was a super tight fit. And it doesn't look like it's all the way seated in there. There's like this little gap right there between the two parts. All right, I applied a little more pressure. This side is definitely now flush. This side still has a little bit of a gap, so we'll try again. What I'm doing when I pull this thing off camera is I'm actually like almost putting it in my lap and then using my shirt to cushion the sharpness of the edges of the parts from my fingers so that they don't hurt quite so much as I squeeze this thing together. All right, there we go. We got it. So I'm a little sad because this cool little detail here on the front of this gold part is just about to get covered up with this. So the clear blue bit that peeks out down there at the bottom of the sort of upper chest area, that's very cool. I like that a lot. All right, so chest vents look like they go like so. We gotta do the other side. Just checking to make sure I pushed this one all the way back. I guess I did. This one like kind of fit on there and then wanted to push a little further. All right, let's see. The instructions didn't want me to build both of those yet, just one, but that's fine. I'm not sure that that's pushed on all the way. There we go. All right. All right, another extremely tight fit here. Let's see if I can widen this hole from the back side just a touch. Again, not sure. Yeah, that fixed it. I'm not sure if these fit issues are the kit or if they are me not being careful while top coating and accidentally getting too much of the top coat into some of these like pegs and hole areas. I think it's probably a combination of both. I think it is a very tight fitting kit just out of the box. And then I have made that ever so slightly worse or more difficult to assemble with the top coating work that I did on the parts. All right, so this side needs this little side of the chest slash vent piece. It just slides on this rectangular piece right here, like so. And then this piece here fits on the outside just on 2 pegs, it looks like. Without a doubt, the final piece is going to be very solid, very sturdy, very hard to break, or very unlikely to like lose its pose, I think, because of how tight the fit of everything is. Come on. All right, I'd really rather not, but I'm going to open up this hole just a touch. Hey, so the Thor pics from my Instagram, you know, honest here, I haven't posted anything new on Instagram in like so long. Yeah, the Thor is actually back there. Do you see him? Well, he's kind of blurry, but he's back there on the shelf. I have not yet disassembled that one and painted it and put it back together. So that one's still in the snap build form that it was, you know, when I first built it. That's another kit that I've meant to go back and do some additional work on, and I just haven't had time to do it. But yeah, it was a fun build, and I really like that kit. The aesthetic of it with the giant hammer, very cool. All right, back to concentrating on trying to get this part to fit. Come on. Yeah, you know what? There's like a little bit of flash on this peg. That's actually the problem. So it's like a mold problem in this particular case. And I'm gonna go ahead and fix the opposite side too, because I see it there as well. There we go. So somebody earlier asked about the quality of the plastic. I still stand by my statement then that I think the quality of the plastic is good. The fit of everything and the quality of the molds is maybe not, like, it's fine, but it's not up to a super high quality standard. There's definitely some additional work here having to go into getting everything to fit together. There it goes. All right, clean my hands. And I'll see if I can get this other side to fit a little bit easier. straight off. I jinxed it by saying that, didn't I? There we go. Yeah, that is an extremely tight fit on this peg in the back here. It's fine, I guess. You don't want it to fall off. And it does look really excellent once you get this all put together. But yeah, it's proving to be a bit of a challenge so far. More than I was expecting, for sure. All right, so these little bits here go above the shoulders. And they use these little tiny Gatling gun sort of pieces, like, yeah, they look like some sort of end of a gun that I set aside earlier. All right, happy to report I have no extra pieces left over on the desk, besides the ones that were left over from choosing between the gold and the light purple. What company do I enjoy the most for non-Bandai kits? So my favorite non-Bandai kit by far that I've ever built is this one back here. It is the Sky Defender. And who made that? I don't remember off the top of my head who made that. Anyway, that is the answer. If you look up the Sky Defender, you'll find it. That one is definitely my favorite non-Bandai kit that I've ever made. Yeah, other people agree, Sky Defender, yeah. That is the one. If you were gonna build one model kit in 2024, that one's my recommendation, the Sky Defender. It was really, really good. And that one actually is sitting behind me there, snap built. And sitting next to it on the shelf are all of the colors of paint that I've already chosen to give it a recolor paint job. But that's so many parts. It's gonna be a lot of paint work to do that job. So I'm waiting on that one as well. All right, here is our torso. It is finished. It's beautiful. I like his little, there's sort of like a little spine detail. Like it looks like it's a backbone there. And it's got that clear blue piece hidden down inside there. There's obviously like no cockpit or anything here in this design. Nothing that opens or anything like that. But the detail and the just kind of overall aesthetic of it, I really like. Should we attach the head? Let's do it. really a lot of distance here from like the front of the chest back to even just like where the chin starts on the head. It's like really set back. It's an interesting look. Right, so the Ianta Industries was the company that did the molding and manufacturing, right, for the Sky Defender, and Ujialand were the guys that designed it. And they are the designers of all of my favorite resin conversion kits as well. All right, there we go. So, head, torso. We've got shoulders and arms next. I'm very optimistically putting away things like tweezers and my part separator and the hobby knife, but we probably are going to still need them, aren't we? We'll see. Maybe some of these parts will go together a little bit easier. All right, so we've got a left arm and a right arm, and I do not remember which is which here in my sorted part bin. Yeah. So we'll just pull these and we'll see. I think that all the pieces are the same until you get to the hands anyway. And so it probably doesn't matter which of these we choose to start with. All right, did I get them all? Yes. Oh, I didn't ask. What do we think of this? So these little bits right here that I'm pointing at on both sides here could have been light purple, and that's where I chose to use the gold instead. Now looking at the whole thing, I'm okay with that choice. Yeah. All right, so pile of parts. Let's make an arm. I don't know if you can see it or not, but my fingers have like different round indentations and all kinds of stuff from pressing down on these parts to force them together. battle scars. All right, here's a spot where we could have had a gold cover for this little sort of vent detail here. I'm going with the light purple for now. I'm not sure what the context is here. Like, where does this go? It goes in the outside of the shoulder, right? And the shoulder's inner frame is going to be gold anyway, so I think the light purple is the correct choice in this case. Same with this piece here. Yeah, these bits here being gold would have been too much gold, I think. Same with this part here, which is going to go on top. It could have been gold. I should be setting aside the gold versions of these purple parts as I put them in so that I don't get confused later on. Right, so those three I don't need anymore. Right, so I find this a little surprising, and I don't want to jinx anything, but so far the parts on these shoulders have fit together much better than anything that we've assembled so far. Like they're still nice and tight and snug, but they're a whole lot easier to fit together and press in place. I guess we finished this side. I was gonna go flip it over and do the same thing on the back side of the shoulder. I'll just set aside the parts because I know that we're gonna need them. But we need to finish this side first, apparently. So you go here, there? That's weird. Yeah, okay. All right, so all the angles and the way these different pieces fit together on the shoulder are really cool. And the very slight variations in shades of grays. And the fact that this little detail that I enjoyed when I was panel lining the gold parts still shows through from the frame underneath. That's very nice. I like that a lot. All right, now we flip it over and do the other side. Yeah, the details are really good. I think that was the thing for me that like, so I picked this kit up just from my local hobby shop. It wasn't on my radar. I wasn't planning on getting it or building it or anything. Saw it, liked the box art, and it was a decent price, so I picked it up. And then, like I said earlier, I don't know if you were here earlier in the stream when I mentioned this, but the plan originally was just to like snap build it, to cut the parts off the runners and then just build it on stream. And as I started looking at the parts, I was like, this looks so good. I feel like it needs more than just a plain snap build. So that's when I went ahead and decided to go and sort of finish some of the parts before we built it. So yeah, I'm pleased with it so far for sure. It is, it looks really nice. There have been some issues, you know, obviously with some fits and things as we go. Those shoulders are huge. Look at the shoulder compared to like just the torso. It's like almost as big. Interesting. Okay, let's build the arm to go with it. Yeah, the decals I added, they came with the kit, of course, right? So if we look, I'll show you at the back of the instructions here. There's your standard like decal guide, and these are actually the ones that are left over. So we haven't talked about this yet today, but I labeled this stream part 1 because I know that I'm not going to finish. So it's got these giant wing units. So what we're going to hopefully build in the stream today is just the main body. So arms, legs, waist, we still have to go. Hopefully we have time to do all of that. But the parts for the wings and the weapons and the display base still need these decals, and they still need all of the top coating and other treatment that I've done on these parts. And so it's going to take me a while to do all of that before I can stream the second part of this build and actually finish the thing up. Yeah, it's a lot of parts. But yes, the decals came with it. I put them on. Just following that guide in the back of the instructions there. And that's another thing where like typically I would do that after I assemble the kit. But especially with this, you want to put your decals on before you do your final top coat, right? And since I'm doing mixed gloss and matte top coats on this, it made it easier for me to just do the decals ahead of time. And then that way I can put the matte top coat over the parts that need it and leave the inner frame stuff gloss. It looks like there's going to be these little rectangular slots in the back of the forearms. Maybe the shield fits in there. I haven't really looked at how the weapons loadout attaches onto the kit itself. All right, so here's the upper arm, and I guess these fit on here like this. Yeah. There's another light purple part. It goes like that. And so I will take the corresponding gold one, where are you, and put you over there. This doesn't look like it necessarily pushed all the way in, but it's the same on both sides. Maybe it's meant to be like that. It doesn't really show me a picture that's detailed enough to know. I guess we'll find out when I try to put these parts over the top of it. Yeah, it's gonna be fine. Yeah, totally fine. Cool. All right, another gold part gets set to the side. Yeah, it would definitely be too much gold if like all of these light, or the light purple bits were gold instead. Oh, although this one we're about to cover most of it up with this other part anyway. Yeah, actually all of it except for this little bit down here. Interesting. All right, how's your fit here? That's not bad. So there's his elbow bend. It's only gonna be like slightly better than 90 degrees because this bulky part here kind of gets in the way of it bending any further. All right, I've got to build a bunch of hands. So the arm itself is actually quite simple. I think the arm was fewer parts than the shoulder. And it's just ever so slightly bigger than the shoulder. That's a super bulky shoulder. Okay, hands go like this. I think all of these pieces here, which are like the main base part of the hand, there's 4 of them because there's 4 different variations of this hand. Those are all the same part, so I don't have to worry about like slightly different versions for different styles of hands. Also, all 4 of these thumb pieces are also the same part. And so the only difference, as far as I can tell, between the different hands are the fingers. The backs of the hands, I believe, are also the same part, like they were the same part number off the runners. So that makes things easy to keep track of since I've cut the parts out all ahead of time like this. However, that is the wrong side. Oh no, it's not, we're good. I had it backwards. Yeah, so I think we just put all 4 hands together like this. And then it's basically like having swappable fingers, except they gave us however many copies we needed of the base part of the hand as well. So we don't have to swap the fingers, we can just assemble like so. So this is some sort of trigger finger hand. We've got an open hand, like so. We've got a fist, a closed fist. Looks like that. And then we've got this other style of holding hand, which I assume is for like a sword or beam saber or something like that. Nice. All right, I'm gonna put the closed fist hands on for now. So we'll go ahead and put that one in there. This turned out to be the right arm. I'll set the other hands off to the side. And we'll see if we can get this here with the shoulder in place. Now there's nothing on this shoulder peg that actually holds this shoulder piece in place. So it must fit around the part that comes from the arm. Yeah, there's a nice tight fit there. So I think that's the way to do it, is to put this on here first, and then we'll slot this into there. Wants to separate a little bit at that spot, so I gotta be careful of that. Yeah, there it is. That looks good. Yeah, so that's the maximum bend of his elbow. There aren't any kind of like armor separating gimmicks or anything like that. The wrist does have a little bit of forward back pivot in addition to the ball joint that it's on. So there's a decent amount of mobility there in the wrist. But otherwise it's a fairly straightforward, kind of stiff arm structure. This is definitely looking to be one of those kits that's like not going to be super posable, I don't think. Like it's not, the articulation isn't amazing or anything like that. But once you get it in the one static pose that you like, it's going to look amazing because the amount of detail and such on these parts is really, really, really good. Nice. All right, I'm going to try to make the other arm quickly here. This little flap here is weird below this vent. Let me see it in the final thing. Yeah, I mean, I guess you want it, like, it's weird flapped up that way because it kind of covers the underside of the vent. I guess you just want it like this because it helps to cover up kind of the cavity that's underneath the shoulder there and fill in that space. So yeah, I guess it makes sense. It's kind of a weird design decision to put that there though, I think. Yeah, so this is cool. See all these little, how many is it? Like 8 parts here? They all are the different exterior bits that go on the outside of this shoulder. I think it's cool that they added that much part separation just in kind of this one area of the mobile suit. So you end up with all these like very intricate different angles and color changes and whatever, all on this one part of the shoulder here. Yeah, that's my favorite part of the design of the kit so far, I think. So if there's weird background noise on the stream at the moment, I apologize. It sounds like maybe one of my neighbors is like either doing yard work or pressure washing or something. There's some sort of motorized thing, like an air compressor almost sounding thing happening outside my garage studio at the moment. Hopefully the music covers it up so you don't have to worry about hearing it. This definitely goes quicker the second time around. It's almost like I just did this and I remember how it works. All right, I did all that part without even looking at the instructions. Now I've got to look to remember how these armor bits go on. All right, I'm having my first fit issue on one of the arm parts. I think I mentioned the other arm went together perfectly. No issues at all. This one, these two parts aren't wanting to snap together nicely, so a little force will be required. Or maybe some careful disassembly and then realigning of the parts. Oh, come on. It was going so well. All right, we're gonna have to trim this peg just a touch. That's probably enough. Yeah, seems better. All right, that peg is better, but something else is still not happy. And it's not this part, it's this part. So let's see if we can figure out. All right, that's better. Mostly better. Yeah, now maybe just a little force is required. Yeah, felt it snap into place. That's better. Okay. That piece didn't fit because there was a thumb stuck inside of it that needed to be removed. All right. All right, we don't need those parts, or those, or those. And all that should be left is the pile of parts to make all of the left hands. Oh wait, there's that vent piece. We don't need that one. All right, on the left hand side for the left hands, yeah, that makes sense, or something like that. For the left hands, it appears that we have the same 4 choices that we got for right hands. So we have a trigger finger hand, an open hand, a closed fist, and a hand for holding a beam saber or sword or something. And once again, at least for now, I'm going to put the closed fist hand on. And that second arm was definitely quicker to assemble than the first one, which I guess makes sense. That was a super tight fit of this arm piece into the shoulder. All right, so there he is with both arms in place. And his super wide shoulders. This little, yeah, the shoulders are very big. This little Gatling gun piece above the right-hand side of the chest here was kind of popped up. I think maybe I just didn't press it down tightly enough when I assembled it. Yeah, that seems better. It wasn't even between the two sides. All right, so with the kind of fit issues that we had early on, and this taking a bit more time than I expected it to. My plan for today was to build the entire body of the mobile suit, so including legs and waist, which are the 2 bits that we still have to go. But just like looking at the clock, it's already been 2 hours. And I don't think I have time today to build the rest of it. So the new plan is going to be this. I was going to build this as part 1, and then the wings and weapons and everything as part 2, and we would be done with the whole thing. And part 2 was going to happen probably next week, assuming I have time to finish preparing those parts. But instead, we're going to make part 2 be the legs and the waist, which those parts are already prepared. So I will likely do part 2 of the build, probably not tomorrow, probably Wednesday. Same time Wednesday, I think. So starting around lunchtime for me. And we'll see if we can get the legs and the waist built so that we can sort of complete the mobile suit itself. And then, as was originally planned, we'll come back next week as long as I have time to finish the parts, and we'll do the wings, the backpack unit, the weapons, the display base, which is actually looking like it's going to be quite large and very cool. So all that stuff will be in part 3, maybe, unless we change the plan again. But that's the plan for now. So here's today's work. I'm super happy with the look of this thing. Yeah, it's really, really good. It's everything I expected it to be as I was looking at the pieces, and way better than I was expecting from just looking at the box art. So that's good. And the small challenges of getting things to fit are probably worth it. Yeah, seems like a good kit. Anyway, that's gonna do it for me today. I'm out of time. So we will, like I said, pick this up probably in 2 days. It'll be on YouTube and Twitch again, like usual. And yeah, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.